So you're ready to dive into this new hobby and have no idea how to start? Well, you came to the right place. In this video, we're going to talk about everything you need to know, from tank size and filtration to the things no beginner thinks about, like cycling your tank before adding new fish. Very important. Stick around to the end and I'll give you some great starter fish recommendations. Let's go. Welcome back to KaveMan Aquatics. I'm Kev, and today we're going to be talking about setting up your first fish tank. But before we do, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. This is a young channel, and by subscribing you won't miss any new content. And if you find any of the info helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. First thing you're going to need is a tank. When deciding what type and size of tank to get, there are a few factors like space, budget, and what type of fish you plan to stock. A good recommendation to start with is a 20 to 30 gallon tank. They're easy to maintain and not too costly. Petco frequently has sales on them for $1 a gallon, so 20 bucks for 20 gallons. Should be good. But I will say this, there are two types of new aquarium hobbyists. Those that quit in the first few months, or those that get utterly obsessed. Which one are you? We'll soon find out. But for the majority that enter this hobby, they end up loving it, and usually always upgrade their tank. So with that being said, the best advice that I can give you is to get the biggest tank that your space and budget allows for now. You'll thank me later. As you add more and more fish to your tank, you're going to want to get a bigger tank, or 2 tanks, or 5. Trust me, it happens. So do yourself a favor and get the biggest tank that your budget allows for right now. If you're the other type of new guy that quits the hobby after a couple of months, don't worry, you can sell all your stuff. There's plenty of people in the hobby willing to buy your used stuff. There's the new guy out there looking for your used tank, and there's also the experienced aquatic looking to add his 10th tank. You'll get rid of it, you'll be fine. Now that you picked out your tank, it's time to start filling it in. Not with water yet, hold on. First thing you need is some substrate. Substrate is usually picked out for the look that you want your tank to have, but substrate has many more benefits than that. Your substrate houses a lot of your beneficial bacteria, which is very important for the cycling of your tank. The nitrogen cycle helps to keep the water quality in your tank optimal for your fish to live and thrive in. But we'll get into that more later on in the video. The two main choices of substrate are either gravel or sand. Gravel is like small chunks of rocks, and sand is much finer particles stuck together. They both have positives and negatives, so let's talk about gravel first. Keeping tank cleaning and maintenance in mind, with gravel, you won't see any dirt or debris on the surface of the gravel. Instead, all of it will go in between all the chunks of rocks down to the bottom of your tank. You're going to need a gravel vac to dig that dirt out from in between all of the rocks. With sand substrate like I got here, since it's much finer and stuck together, all your dirt and debris is going to stay right on top of your surface. But that helps in identifying when it's time to do a quick cleaning. You can use a gravel vac just to skim the top of the surface. You don't have to dig into it like you do with gravel. Check this video out here on water changes and I'll show you exactly how I clean my substrate with a gravel vac. Quick pro tip, regardless of which one you choose, either gravel or sand, you should definitely wash and rinse before putting it into your tank and adding water. If you don't, you'll have days of cloudy water and you'll have to wait for all that to settle to the bottom of the tank. So now that you got your substrate figured out, the next thing you're going to want is a tank light. Few things about lights. Fish don't need light. Matter of fact, light stresses your fish out. The light is mostly for the aquarium hobbyist, you, to enjoy watching your fish. General rule of thumb will be to have your light on for 8 hours or less. Less will be better. If you chose to go with a small 10 to 20 gallon tank, most of those tanks have a light that come in the lid, and you should be good to go with that. If you took my advice and went with a bigger tank, then you got to do some research online and look for a light that's sufficient for what you need. A few go-to brands are Marineland and Current USA. There are plenty of review videos online to watch and you can choose which light you like best. Next thing you're absolutely going to need is a heater. You can buy a preset heater or an adjustable one. Do some research on the type of fish you plan to keep. Most tropical fish like angelfish, tiger barbs, guppies, they like their water to be between 74 to 80 degrees. Other types of fish like these African cichlids here like their water a bit warmer. There are 1,000 types of tropical fish to choose from, so make sure you know what you're getting. I think we all know every fish tank needs a filter. There are a bunch of different filters out there and we'll discuss a few of them really quick. Most new fish keepers tend to go with hang-on back filters, which are HOBs. A hang-on back filter does just that. It hangs on the back of your tank. These filters are very economical and don't take up too much space. Great for the beginner in the hobby. A good HOB filter has space in it for all three types of media, which are mechanical, biological, and chemical, in that order. These are necessary for keeping your water clean and housing your beneficial bacteria, which is very important for the nitrogen cycle. The nitrogen cycle is something you definitely need to have knowledge on if you're going to be in this aquarium hobby. Check this video out if you need to. Some popular brands of HOBs are Marineland, AquaClear, and new to the game is the Tidal by Seachem. I'll link descriptions to all three of these below. All three are great choices and come in different sizes depending on the size of your tank. Another popular filter is the canister filter. Canister filters usually sit underneath your tank with their intake and outtake tubes going into your tank. These filters are used with bigger tanks mostly because you can fill them with more media. They fit more sponges, more biomedia, and more chemical media, which is needed for a higher volume of water. Setting up your canister media correctly is very important to make sure that it's working as efficiently as possible. Check this video out where I show you step by step how to do that. There's another great form of filtration, which is a sump, but it's not for beginners, so I won't go too deep into it. A sump is basically another additional tank which increases the total volume of the water in your system. This sump is usually used on way bigger tanks because it has the space to put the most media into it. Maybe one day you and I will reach this level of aquarist. The next thing you need in your tank that most beginners totally dismiss is aeration. Oxygen is super important in your tank. Without it, your fish are going to suffocate and die. Aeration happens when the surface of your water breaks and allows for the transfer of oxygen into the water. So you're going to need some kind of bubbler or a wave maker pointed up at the surface to break that tension on top of the water. That's going to allow oxygen to enter your tank. Aeration is so important that you definitely need to have a battery backup air pump just in case you ever lose power. When the power goes out, you're going to lose your filters, your heaters, your lights. Everything's going to go, but it's going to be a lack of oxygen that kills your fish first. So make sure you get that battery backup. I'll post a link to the one I use below. So now you've got all the essentials. It's time to start decorating your tank. You might want to pick a nice background. I like to go with plain black background because it gives the water a sense of depth. Some people actually paint the glass on back of the tank. You can choose whatever you like. Add any rocks or plants or ships or anything you'd like now before adding the water. Now it's finally time to add water to your tank. But as simple as that is, there's a few very important things that you need to know first. Your tap water has chlorine in it, making it safe for me and you to drink. But chlorine will kill every living thing inside your tank. It'll kill your fish, it'll kill your live plants if you chose to go that route. It'll kill all the beneficial bacteria in your filter and in your tank. Definitely no good. So every time you add water to your tank, you must use a dechlorinator. The two best in the industry right now are Seachem Prime and API Stress Coat. I'll put links to both of those below. Second thing you need to know is just because you added water to your tank and dechlorinator, still not ready to add fish. Sorry. Your tank needs to cycle first, meaning it's got to go through the nitrogen cycle. The nitrogen cycle can be very complicated, but it doesn't have to be. It's something that you need to know in this hobby. I can't stress it enough. I've got a great video explaining exactly what it is. I'll put a card up here, check it out. After your tank has gone through the cycle is when you can add your first fish. How do you know when it's gone through the cycle? You got to test your water. You use an API test kit and your results should read 0 ammonia, 0 nitrite, and very little nitrate because you don't have any fish in it. If I lost you there for a second, don't worry, I explained it all in that video. Awesome, you made it this far into the video. Congratulations, welcome to the hobby. So, as promised, I'm going to give you a few starter fish to get going. Keeping tank maintenance in mind, I'm going to start off with a pleco. Mine is hiding in the corner somewhere, but a pleco is the fish that sticks to your glass and sticks to all the other surfaces of your decor and eats algae. They are great at keeping your tank clean, keeping your decor clean, and free of algae. So that's a good starter fish. Another one's going to be a cory cat. My cory cat is also nowhere to be found, but a cory cat is a fish that is a bottom feeder, and he'll clean all the debris and loose food that gets trapped in places. They'll clean up all that food and keep your substrate looking clean. So that's another great starter fish. Then you can add some tetras, angelfish, maybe some guppies. These are beautiful looking fish and they have a great temperament and can mix well with other species. These African cichlids are very beautiful fish, but they do not have a great temperament. They are very aggressive fish, and depending on what species you mix them with, you can have a total nightmare on your hands. I wouldn't recommend this for the beginner, but I hope those recommendations I gave you help you out. So there you have it, guys. I hope this information helped you in progressing in your fish keeping journey. I posted links to everything I talked about in the description below. Yes, these links do generate a commission for me and the channel, so I want to thank you in advance. 2 thumbs up. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any new content. See you on the next one.